Welcome, everybody, to another episode of One Another Marriage podcast with Dr. David and Teresa Mabry, where we seek to strengthen marriages so there's greater satisfaction and impact on the world around you. So we're glad you're with us today, One Another couples, and anyone else that stumbled upon us this week.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining in. It is so easy to get into conversation ruts in marriage. I know that that's been true for our marriage over different seasons. Today, we will offer and answer several questions that will spur on conversation. Conversation, once again, helps you build intimacy in your relationship and move you onward in strength and vibrancy.
That's great. So we're going to pick some questions and help people. And you're going to ask them. Here's the thing. I don't know what questions are coming.
I know. This is going to be kind of fun because I have chosen off of the conversation cards.
Yep.
And yeah, you chose not to know ahead of time.
That's right.
So,
I wanted to be surprised.
So everyone listening in, I wish we had like visual that you could see David's face, maybe his expressions, but at least I'll be seeing them. So
and one day we'll have the video version. We're hoping to. We're working on that right now.
We are.
Hopefully by episode 40 or 50 or whatever we hit there. But hopefully sometime you'll be able to go to the YouTubes and look that up. But right now you can catch us on YouTube anyhow. If you may catch us on whatever platform, but you may not know that we can be found. This content is on YouTube as well. Every single week it drops. So, but hey, here's, can I do the shout out?
Absolutely.
Okay. I'm excited about this shout out because they have been showing up consistently.
All right.
For weeks on our stats. And I've been holding on to this, wanting to say hello and for us to give a shout out to Clifton, New Jersey.
Okay.
It is a suburb of
Newark.
That's
All right.
right. Good call. So it's Newark, and maybe right now I think Clifton's going to represent the greater metropolitan area of New York City as well. Because I'm trying to think through our stats. I don't know that we have anything showing up from New York City. Hey, New York City, let's show up. But thank you, Clifton, New Jersey, for showing up. You're representing.
Absolutely.
And so thanks for showing up. And shout out.
Thank you. Yeah, thanks for listening and being consistent listeners. And please let us know who you are. Yeah,
Clifton, listen, if you are, we hope that you also are being strengthened in your relationship and that you have greater satisfaction and impact on the world around you because you're listening. So, yeah, thanks for listening.
Awesome.
Shout out, folks.
Shout out time.
So I think you as well, and I'm eager to hear this one. You have the puzzle for the week.
Puzzles.
And I think we skipped your puzzle last time. So you're due. Because we were puzzling together. We were puzzling together, and you just said, well, that's going to be my puzzle.
There you go.
Do you remember back that podcast? I forget.
I don't know. It all runs together. It all runs together.
It all runs together. You're feeling very harmonic today.
I am.
Harmonic today.
I am. I don't know why.
You're sing-songy.
I am sing-songy. So, okay, I'll try to keep it under control.
Do you want me to tell the people why I think you're sing-songy today?
No, go ahead. Sure.
No.
I don't care.
You said no, go ahead.
No, go ahead. Sure, go ahead.
Okay, so
this is why people listen to us because I'm wishy-washy.
I'm sorry, folks.
I say no, then yes, then yes, then no. Go ahead.
We've talked about this before, that Teresa is in education field. Both Teresa and I are in the education field as well as working with marriages. And so Teresa works with preschoolers in education. And today was a special day at the preschool. And what day was it, honey?
It was pajama day.
Pajama day. So
pajama and movie day.
Yeah. So you're gonna get this on a Tuesday. Of course, Tuesday morning. We're not recording this on a Tuesday morning early and then dropping it. So we're recording this previous, and today was pajama day.
It was.
Or pajama day. Some people say pajamas.
No, I think it's pajama. But anyway, here's
too.
The fun thing, too, is that my letter this week is the letter P for pumpkins and pajamas. That just worked out today. Yeah, so it was pajama day and movie day, and we got to watch It's the Great Pumpkin, Charlie Brown.
All right, there you go. But you are in a sing-songy mood because you've been
don't.
wearing pajamas all day. And hey, folks, how many of you out there go to a workplace and wear your pajamas all day? I know some of you are listening and you work from home, and because a lot of you have moved to the home, but and you wear your pajamas all day while doing your work. But Teresa is one of the very few that goes to a work location in her pajamas.
Yeah, and I even think through my strategy because, like, I took my Crocs with me to wear inside, but I have my tennis shoes on to drive and to go outside for playground. So I have to think through my strategy of my outfit.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I interrupted your puzzle.
Yeah.
You go with the puzzle for the week.
So if I do break into song, I did not get to sing as many songs today with the kids, so this could be why. But puzzle time. All right, so here's my puzzle for today. Okay, so I left work, right?
Yeah.
And I want to head home. And it typically takes me roughly around like 12 minutes to drive, okay, right? And I head west, straight west on the one road, correct? Well, today I had to run an errand and I needed to go a little bit more north to do that. And so...
And you go from east to west to come home, typically.
Yes. Yeah, I come west, right.
Yeah.
And so I left work and I thought, you know what? I'm going to go north a little bit right away and then take one of the other roads that goes west and cross over. And so I did that. And I got all the way to about 100 yards away from the railroad track that runs north and south across all of these east-west roads. Yeah. And big sign, road closed. And evidently they're doing some work on the railroad tracks. Okay. Now, I had read in our local township news that there was going to be some work done. Yeah. So I'm like, all right. So I make my little U-turn. I go back. I head more north on that same road, take the next road west that's a major road. Once again, road closed, doing the work on the railroad track. I'm like, you got to be kidding me. Okay. So I make another U-turn and I go back, head north one more time to the next major kind of like west or east-west road, take that road, and finally I'm able to cross. Okay.
So you couldn't get you.
I could. It took me to the third road. To find a road, right? And when we're saying these roads, like this is not just like a neighborhood block. This is
a country mile.
Yeah, this is a little bit because where we live, it is a little bit more.
It's a country block.
Yes, it's in the country, but it's definitely not country because of all the subdivisions and how everything that's going on.
So your puzzle is.
So my puzzle is why do we have to have so many railroad crossings?
Why shut them all down
exactly
at once so you can't get from east to west?
From east to west. And
that
I'm like,
funny.
You've got to be kidding me. And especially, I mean, we live in an extremely large school system. Yeah. And all I could imagine was, what chaos has this been creating for the buses and parents and just all these different things? Yeah. And so what typically takes me like 12 minutes took me almost 40 minutes for me to get home. Like it really was bizarre and puzzling. And I guess the puzzle is that you know, why so many? Yeah. And the railroad company, I think, is the one who determines that, and then they just kind of like let you know. So like I feel like our township people were kind of like, hey, like, you know, this isn't really like our fault, but
that's not like a local project we're saying, right?
I guess.
Mean, it could be, but it's like, but it's a railroad project, shutting down those and working on those crossings.
But it really seemed a bit extreme because I was like, okay, come on.
And there's been a lot of construction in our area because there's so much growth. I mean, it's expanded enormously and trying to handle all the traffic. So trying to get from one place to the other. That's a good puzzle.
And I was thinking the whole time, should I just call you and say, hey, David, by the way, I'm struggling to get home? Because we do have the Find Friends on our phone. And I thought it was taking so long. You know what time I'm getting off work and about what time I'm coming in. And I thought if you were watching me on Find Friends, you'd be like, what is she doing? Like she's like north and west, the north and west, the north and west. Okay.
That would be my puzzle then.
I know. You'd be like...
My puzzle is
she having a seizure? What's happening
to Teresa?
What was
Teresa doing today?
She just traveling.
Yep.
Just, just trying to get home.
Just wandering the countryside.
Just trying to get
That's
home.
all.
That's all.
That is quite a puzzle.
Yeah.
And hey, folks, remember that a puzzle, if you're new to us, we define a puzzle in the course of conversation as something that's not to be answered, and it's not to be a puzzle about your partner, but
yes.
It's just something to let your partner into your brain. So no judgment, no answering. Like I don't need to solve this for Teresa. I just need to hear it out and usually say the words, well, that's interesting. So yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, hey, let's get into it here.
Let's do it.
So I'm going to be asking the questions, and I'll give you the category.
What crossed my mind is I'll be asking the questions.
I'll be asking, yeah. So
what's that from?
I forget, and so we're gonna get into our categories here, and then I will be asking the questions, and it's kind of like, remember when you were dating and you would play like the 21 questions, get to know each other, and all that stuff. So once again, a reminder that all marriages have seasons and moments where you need to really engage and do a better job at your communicating, because it's a way to have more intimacy with one another.
That's right. And so, hey, by the way, let me give a heads up for people just for fun, and that is so we told everyone we have a new puppy, and so Denali, and we're excited about to have this new puppy. And when you hear puppy, you think tiny, cute. This is an 8-month-old giant. She is huge. She's a Great Pyrenees.
Well,
but
she's not as large as like a Great Dane.
No, she's not, but she's
big.
But this is her first podcast with us, and if you hear banging or whatever, it's because she has been roaming around the room trying to figure out what her life is about.
And she has her big bone.
She's trying to find her happy spot. She's not quite found the happy spot yet. In fact, there she goes. We heard her bark. If you hear us suddenly cut off and then we pick it up, it just means we said, hey, you know what? We need to give the child a little attention here. And but we're trying this, and so you're into our life a little bit. So she spoke up and let us know that she's here. She's trying to find her happy spot.
She is.
So on with the show.
All right.
The podcast. But
So 21 questions kind of style, except we're not doing 21 questions.
Which
but
that's
anyway,
how we did it for dating. I remember that distinctly.
Absolutely.
We did a lot of 21 questions, but I enjoyed that. I loved like the challenge of we would go back and forth and coming up with the most unique questions. That's how we got to know one another.
Right. Exactly. Okay. So in no particular order, correct?
No.
All right. So the first one, and typically in the conversation cards that we, did not like, she scared me when she barked.
We'll have to cut that one out. Or maybe not. Maybe we won't cut that out. Say, hey, folks, just welcome to our world. It'd be fun. Anyone else out there have dogs that are disturbing things?
Of course people do. And cats and whatever else. But anyway, okay.
The lesson is don't put the dog in the studio.
Well, she's calm now.
She is calm.
Okay. Yeah. So here we go.
Okay,
all right.
Let's do it.
So question number 1.
Okay.
This actually, we don't do these as often, but spiritual beliefs card.
Okay.
Okay.
Let's do it.
So it's like a 2-part question.
Mm-hmm.
Are you active in a place of worship?
Mm-hmm.
And the second part, how important is it to you to be active in the same place of worship?
As one another?
Yes.
Okay.
So when we're talking about, and we can answer obviously for ourselves, but as we've coached couples, we have had this come up before where one person.
Yeah. Okay. So
are you active in a place of worship? And then how important is it to you to be active in the same place
Yeah.
of worship with your partner?
Yeah. So my answer to that is that, obviously that we're, both of us are active in our place of worship, and we really love the place that we are at. And it's important to us personally that we're involved with a place of worship. I just believe, for multiple reasons, but for our marriage, for us to be together in it, although I recognize that there are people that are listening that have maybe a different faith or different belief or are not on the same page with spiritual things, which that's a tough place to be.
Absolutely.
That's a really tough place to be. Not impossible. We really adhere to, and especially if young couples are listening, premarital couples, do not underestimate a difference in faith background, and understand that if you do, you're going to have some challenges ahead of you, and particularly with parenting and making decisions on parenting. Now, for us, I love that we're connected to the same church and faith community, and it's important to both of us individually, and when we go as a couple, we really love serving together, of being part of that community together. And so being in a relationship with people, being at worship, being in service, because our relationship with God is very important to us, primary for both of us individually.
Right.
And we would say, speaking for both of us, we would say our marriage is foundationally upon our relationship with God and what God, who God is. He's the center
Right.
for us, right?
Right. Yeah. And I knew the answer that you would have.
But it's a good question
for
to
us.
process.
But I think that's why I chose it too, is because we know that everyone listening, this may not be the story. This may not be the case. And we've coached some couples before where there are two different lanes going on a little bit. And while there's been some mutual respect for each of those, over time, that can bring up more conflict or just disagreement or in the marriage, in the relationship, and so it does need to be discussed. It is a big one.
Yeah. And if anyone out there is interested in hearing, like reading more on their own, the author Naomi Riley has written a book called "Till Faith Do Us Part," and it's a really in-depth study of how the impact of having differences with faith background. So if you want to nerd out a little bit, as I like to nerd out on these sort of things, she treats the subject well, and it can be helpful for couples who find themselves on different pages, or couples who want to be on the same page and they want to endeavor to do so. And so, and also, I'd be remiss if we did not just share with folks. If you do not have a faith background, or you're not actively you're not active right now with a faith community or in your faith, we would encourage you to do so. We clearly come from it for the faith-based standpoint, a Christ-following standpoint, although we make an effort at making sure that we are speaking to couples across a broad range. But we would love for people to discover a relationship with God through Christ Jesus. So yeah.
Awesome.
It's important to us.
Okay. All right. Question number 2. This is going to come from the conflict resolution card. Okay. So it's a little bit, I'm going to merge a couple of these. So, question is, do you keep quiet during arguments to avoid hurting your partner's feelings? And what would be the short-term gain for saying nothing? So do you keep quiet during arguments to avoid hurting your partner's feelings? What would be the short-term gain for saying nothing?
Yeah, I think I'm selective.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. I'm
selective, but I don't come back at it with, it's not my personality to come out with both guns blazing. And I'm not the avoider that I used to be in our marriage
Mm-hmm.
and earlier in our relationship, but I'm selective, and I'd like to think wiser in how I would be assertive in dealing with conflict and during points of conflict.
Mm-hmm.
Now, there are times that in my brain, I process as we're going through a conflict. If we have a disagreement, when we have a disagreement, I do process like, okay, David, be wise in what you say, and maybe it's best to kind of let Teresa process this a little out loud, and maybe her processing can get a little sharp sometimes, and you already know that about yourself, so
Yeah.
it's not like I'm attacking you on a podcast.
Surprise, everyone.
Surprise.
I'm the one.
And so I try to work on doing more listening, but let's be clear, and you already know this about me, honey, is that when it's something that I really believe in a direction and that I believe I need to be assertive, I'm super clear, and I'm
correct.
But I like to think I'm kind but clear.
Mm-hmm.
There are very rare times that I've been like really upset where I'm just like, that's it, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And that's funny because I almost went, there's 4 questions on this card. The last question, I gave 2. The last one is, what does it look like for both of you to be assertive? And I wanted to touch upon that as well, to just say both of us have the ability to be direct
Yep.
and clear, but we also work really hard on the healthy assertiveness. And when each of us comes into the place to have that discussion, we can appreciate that assertiveness from each party, because it doesn't leave you trying to figure out where your partner's coming from.
Yeah.
Now, I will say for myself, like on the what's the short-term gain for saying nothing, I think I've tried over the years to learn the art of timing, and that when I have like snuffed the quick retort, or I've wanted to say something to you, I've tried really hard to go, you know what? It's probably not the best time. And sometimes by me not saying anything, it actually just works itself out. Or when you're in a better space maybe to approach you about it, I also have had time in my head to reason and think through it and realize, is it really something that I need to go say or not? Yeah. So I think there is, I mean, we've taught this before, there is a positive quality, not that you're an avoider, but it's not always necessary to bring up something that could be hurtful, because it can do that damage. And pausing on it, the short-term gain is that it gives you time to really get your words together.
Yeah, there's that overlooking minor offenses, but even with major offenses or major issues that really do need resolved, there's that discipline of saying, okay, this is a dance.
Yes.
We're not huge Dancing with the Stars fans. We don't watch it a lot. But this last week or last couple of weeks, we've kind of stumbled on it as like during commercial breaks of a sporting event or something like that, or we're just kind of chilling in the evening. We don't watch it that much, but it does remind me of like, and then those judges like give their critique of, oh, that was too fast, or that was too slow, and it's like, wouldn't it be funny that if every fight we all ever had, all of us out there, all you one another couples, all of us, if someone could just observe us and then give us a score on how we did, and then give us a critique. We don't get that.
We don't.
But it truly is a dance, right? It's truly this communication in general, not just during points of conflict, but points of conflict really does come out. But the dance of like, not a manipulation, it's more of like, hey, I get to know you well enough that I'm not stepping on your toes with my communication, or I'm not doing a one move in one direction, or I'm not hearing certain music in my head and you're hearing different music and we're on two different beats with our communication. We've
Right.
got to be dancing to the same song and going in the same direction. And that takes work. And I think you and I do it better now than what we have in the past. We just grow day by day and I think that's what we're saying when we're kind of
Yeah.
unpacking how we are doing things.
You
That's
got
a
it.
good question. That's a good direction.
All right.
I hope
Okay.
folks have fun with that one.
I know. Okay, so here's another one.
Okay.
About this one comes off of partner behavior.
Oh, wow.
We don't always do these cards either. So,
Yeah.
okay. And I chose it mostly because of myself. So,
Did you?
are you ready?
That's funny.
Are you ready?
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm ready.
Do you ever feel unreasonably moody? And if so, how does this affect your partner?
Yeah.
And then how do you respond to your partner's moodiness?
That's. Why'd you ask the second question? You need to not.
No,
that one needs to go away. That's.
No, it's right there.
How do I
It's
respond
right
to my
there.
parent? Okay, I do
Yeah.
this mine first.
Well,
I have a good answer for. Go ahead. What were you
okay.
saying?
Well, the question for me, do you ever feel unreasonably moody? My answer, yes. Yes.
Okay.
If so, how does this affect your partner? I think it makes you walk around a little bit like, which Teresa am I getting right now? And all full
She's not wrong,
yeah.
folks.
Full disclosure here. There is truth to hitting your 50s and for a woman.
Oh,
And-
there you go.
And having changes go on, and it is just mind-boggling.
What do
at
we
times.
do with the 28-year-old that's listening and going, is it 50 really? Because my wife acts like that right now.
Well, I don't know. I mean, it could be. I'm talking for me.
Okay.
For
okay.
me,
Yeah.
do I ever feel? I feel like yes,
Yeah.
and I know it affects you. I can
Mhm.
see it sometimes on your face,
Mm-hmm.
and yet at the same time, it's so hard to control the moodiness.
Yeah.
Like I recognize it, and then it's like, oh, ugh, here I go again.
Yeah. Well, there's
yeah.
a key, right? And I'll speak for myself so let me throw it. Am I moody?
No.
Yeah, I'm pretty steady Eddie, but I'll
I think you get moody if I get moody.
yeah. Hey, folks, is that not true or what? When your spouse is moody, I'm not normally moody, but it does take a little challenge. It's a little challenge to navigate the moodiness when it happens. And honey, I'll full disclosure to everybody, I'll come to your defense. You're not super moody, but you just have your moments.
Yeah, but comparatively to our entire relationship, I think
You think my calmness makes your moodiness seem worse?
no. I think you respond with more calm,
Mm-hmm.
and sometimes the funny thing is what are the triggers to the moodiness? Sometimes that can be a trigger because I know what you're doing,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm like, oh no, I'm just gonna.
And what's the most helpful thing that I can do or that I do when you are going through, when you know or feel that you're
Mhm.
going through the moodiness?
Is where I think sometimes you just will listen, but there are moments where you kind of give me that smile, and I'm just kind of like, and that's usually when I say, I know that that's happening right now, and I'm trying to get a rein on it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then you'll walk away and usually leave me alone,
Yeah. And
that works pretty well.
okay, some valuable, yeah, that's right. Valuable takeaways, and that is husbands or wives. This could go either direction, but sometimes responding to your partner's moodiness by more moodiness or combative
Mm-hmm.
behavior or words makes it worse.
Mm-hmm.
And so I go with the adage of be patient with what's kind of going on in the heart and mind of Teresa, and then we circle back around when it's a real serious. But I very rarely, in fact, I say rarely is probably even strong. I don't take anything personal with you. Like if you say something to me, I don't think I'm at the point in our marriage where I don't take it personally.
Mm-hmm.
So in other words, if you are moody
Mm-hmm.
and you like it feels like you're coming after me or whatever, I'm secure enough in myself and in our relationship that I don't take it personally. I just go like, well, that's just the way things are. But
You'll ask me sometimes, like once again, gauging,
mm-hmm.
is this the right time to
Mm-hmm.
kind of dive into it, or just saying like, is there something else going on?
Mm-hmm.
Is there? Sometimes you'll say, have I done anything wrong, or
Mm-hmm.
whatever. So trying to help me like process.
Or my favorite line, am I in trouble?
Am I in trouble right now?
Which is usually I'm not, and I ask that on purpose
I
to
know.
kind of refocus the
I know.
conversation. But
And now you have a dog, so you'll just go, come on, Denali, and then
Come
you
on,
just
Denali.
like, yeah.
I'll go to the other woman in my life, the other female in my life rather, and then we'll just go hang out. But okay, can I answer the question for myself now?
Sure.
We have time for this, for me to say, moodiness in me. Believe it or not, I do believe I do have a moody side,
Mm-hmm.
but I recognize when it happens, and it almost always is connected to hits
Mm-hmm.
and HITS. So hungry, irritable, tired, or stressed.
Right.
The hits. So for me, it's not frequent, but every once in a while, if I'm just super hungry or I'm stressed about something, which doesn't happen frequently, but if I have multiple deadlines that are right on top of one another, then I'll be a little bit more short
Mm-hmm.
and direct, and I feel myself doing that.
Mm-hmm.
If I'm tired and not feeling well, but I'll usually try to be pretty direct with you and say, I'm just not in the mood for that. Right.
Yeah.
And you do a great job of being like, okay. And you acquiesce pretty easily
But I also recognize it very quickly in you because you don't typically have the moodiness. And so when it does happen, I know what the trigger has been,
Mhm.
which you just said.
Yeah.
And I think here in the early part of the month, the late end of September, early part of October, you were super stressed over several things. And
Mhm.
there was like a 2-week period there where,
I'd done some traveling. It put me behind on some things I normally get done in the
Mhm.
office. Yeah.
Right. And so to recognize that and to just kind of give some space.
And let me put a kind of a closing thought on this before we go to the next question, and that
Mhm.
is, it strikes me that self-care is so important
Yes.
for you as an individual, you, not you, Teresa, but you out there who are listening, like
Mhm.
for your marriage, taking care of yourself by knowing where you can de-stress. So take care of yourself physically, emotionally, spiritually. For me, I love retreating to the back porch
Mhm.
and relaxing, especially now that Denali's here. Denali can hang out. And you know that about
Mhm.
me. And
Yeah.
I really appreciate that you give me that space. That is so important to me. Now, I don't retreat there all the time. I don't abuse it, and I don't separate from you all the time. But I get those moments, and a lot of that is self-care for me. I'm an extrovert, but boy, I value those times that I'm all by myself and I can just relax. I either have a book with me or whatever it may be, or I love stargazing. So anyhow, that's the encouragement is, folks, take care of yourself so that you can be the best you can for your marriage.
Mm-hmm. All right. Last question. Question number 4. This is actually going to come from the quality time category. So let's see. How does enjoying the same hobbies and leisure activities serve your relationship?
Oh, this is so easy for us.
Now, for us, this is an easy question.
Well, because, and I'm not saying that as I'm glad to have this question because it makes me happy to answer it.
I can give you another one that might
No.
be so easy.
So repeat the question again, just so I'm I answer it correctly.
Yeah. How does enjoying the same hobbies and leisure activities serve your relationship?
One of the most blessed things about our marriage, one of the things that makes me happiest, one of the things I have enjoyed the most is the fact that my wife loves sports almost more than I do at times. That she will yell at the TV during an event more than I. Now I'm worked up during a game when I'm watching, especially if it's a team I really love, but Teresa will vocalize it. And so she'll be verbal with the television. The refs, the coaches, the players.
The commentators? Oh, my
She
gosh.
scared the dog the other day.
Well, the dog will have to get used to this part of our lives.
Socialization. We're training the dog.
I know.
Learn how to respond.
And we both like yelled and clapped at the same time. And then we looked at each other and we're like, oh, because
she's going to be
she's
scared.
got to,
she's going to go
she's
pee
got to
herself.
learn. I know.
She's
right?
young enough. She just wet herself. She's like, what are these two people doing?
Go on.
And so I really, and this is for the folks out there, because you realize this, honey, is that the many things I love about our marriage, but on that list is definitely in bold is the fact that we both enjoy sports. We like playing. We like watching. We enjoy. So that's a common denominator.
Yes, and it gives us conversation as well, because you can bring up, maybe you or I, there's a tidbit that's happened in the news, or I don't know, something, and we can have dialogue about it, and both of us have knowledge about it, and so we understand. So we share that common hobby, that common activity of interest, and I think it just helps serve the relationship in just having that having it provides that greater opportunity to bond together over that shared experience.
Yeah.
Right. Now, the second question that I was going to kind of like ask in that would be, what is your definition of quality time? So even though all of these, there's several questions on these cards of quality time, I do think that that's an important one for couples as well, right? Because you got to be able to define what is quality time.
Yeah, what is quality time?
And make sure that you each are listening to each other, because if you and your partner have differing opinions about what quality time is, you need to understand that. And then do your best, because not everybody out there in their marriage does enjoy sitting down and watching the game together, or they have some of their own individual hobbies and interests, and then maybe come back together for quality time. But what does that quality time look like?
Yeah. For me, quality time is time spent with your person in and enjoying that person, whatever the activity may be, and gaining joy from just the experience of being together. Quality time would include also that how can I contribute to your joy and fulfillment. Like for me, quality time is when Teresa is happy with the time that we've spent. And so for me, it's what we would say once again is a mutually beneficial reciprocal relationship. So it's a one another time spent where I'm being fulfilled because really enjoying you, but then part of my fulfillment also is that knowing that you are enjoying that time as well, no matter what the activity may be. We may sit down and play Scrabble together, which I know is two different games we play at times. I love playing Scrabble, and I usually do well. And then, but I play Peanuts, which is a version
card
of
game,
a solitaire game against one another, and you win every time, hands down, because it's a speed game, and I'm not a fast player. I'm a slow thinker. So we play different, but we had a good time.
And we do have a good time, yeah. But man, Scrabble, ugh, gosh. One of these days I am going to beat you. But
it's great
anyway,
fun.
It's
Okay.
great fun.
So
It's great fun.
what's your definition of
Well,
quality time?
I mean, I think I would concur on most everything that you said there. I mean, for me, knowing that you're having just as good of a time with whatever it is that we're doing. I mean, it could be taking a car ride. I mean, you and I have shared quality time as empty nesters in the last year and a half. Sometimes just taking a drive around and looking at houses that are for sale.
Yeah.
I mean, like we'll just follow different paths or pull it up or whatever. No, we are not moving, but we just enjoy going around. And sometimes it's like, oh yeah, like look at that house, and then every now and then there could be the random open house happening, and we've pulled over the car and just went in with no intention of even buying that house, but we just like to go in and look around at things.
Yeah.
And both of us kind of, it's not like that's not something we do every single week. But we've had good quality time in doing that because both of us were like, sure, why not?
Yeah.
Let's just go do this today.
Yeah.
And we just take off. And we're both enjoying it. But the funny thing is that, we also know each other well enough that we can look at each other and then be like, yeah, I think I'm good. You know, and then we're like, and that could be an hour and a half. It could be an hour, whatever it is.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
well, it was like quality time for us included. I ended up speaking at a church in the last couple of weeks, and it was 45 minutes away.
Right.
And I was glad that you went with me, which you don't always go when I'm speaking out of town. And so you riding with me that 45 minutes there, 45 minutes back. We got dinner, lunch on the way back. That to me was quality time, just even being in the car together, much like you're saying, going looking at houses. I remember though, if I can harken back to, I remember points in our marriage, and maybe there's some folks out there that are like this, where I remember us reading, just sitting in the living room in an evening, reading a book just individually.
You reading a book, me reading a book. Two different books.
Two different books. We're just, and it's quiet, and we're really not talking. Every once in a while, maybe something said, but we just. And then at the end of the evening, I remember thinking during those many times that we've done that, thinking this was nice.
That was nice.
That was nice just to spend time. That was quality time. So, and then quality time is also going and maybe playing pickleball together. So active and kind of passive, extroverted and introverted time. I'm curious about what folks out there are kind of feeling with their definition. I think that's a great question, their definition of quality time. And then folks share that with your partner. Make sure you're talking these questions back and forth as prompts, and then act on them. Once you kind of decide, hey, your definition's this, my definition's this, and then kind of honor one another through all of that.
Absolutely. All right, so we're going to give just a little summary and review of the questions.
Yeah, let's go over them again here.
So we started with a spiritual beliefs category, and we said, are you active in a place of worship? And then how important is it to you to be active in the same place of worship as your spouse?
Yep, good one.
Okay, and then we went to a conflict resolution. And it was, do you keep quiet during arguments to avoid hurting your partner's feelings? What is the short-term gain for saying nothing?
Yeah.
So that was a good one. Partner behavior. Do you ever feel unreasonably moody? And if so, how does this affect your partner? How do you respond to your partner's moodiness?
And that's question number 3. Good.
Right.
Yeah.
And then finally, question number 4, two-parter again also. What is your definition of quality time? And then how does enjoying the same hobbies and leisure activities serve your relationship?
Yeah, those are good.
So there we go.
Yeah, good summary. Hey, folks, we really appreciate each of you taking time to join us this week. And we want to send you off with the verse of the week, which is found in Ecclesiastes 9:9. And so I'm gonna read this, but then I'm gonna modify a little bit so that everyone in our audience will connect with this. Okay. So the original version says this: live happily with the woman you love through all the meaningless days of life that God has given you under the sun. The wife God gives you is your reward for all your earthly toil. Now, some may listen to that verse, which it's a wonderful verse, and say, wow, that's kind of a downer part of it, and then it's up and down, or the wives are feeling like, well, that excludes me. So let's modify it because of the principle that's being spoken here, and this is going to be the verse. So we can say, live happily with the spouse you love. So husbands, put in woman. Wives, put in man. So live happily with the man you love through all your meaning. Now, the meaningless days means that, you know what? Your spouse gives you meaning. Let your marriage give meaning to those days.
Right.
God has given you. And then the second sentence there is, the spouse God gives you is a reward for all your earthly toil or all the struggles that you may have. You have this reward of having this special relationship. So live happily with the woman you love through all the meaningless days of life that God has given you under the sun. The spouse God gives you is your reward for all your earthly toil. Ecclesiastes 9:9.
That's good stuff. All right. Hey, thanks so much for joining us today. And please remember to subscribe, rate, and review, especially on the Apple Podcast or your favorite platform. You know, if you have found any value in this content, hit that share button. Help other couples to be strengthened in their relationships. We thank you so much, and we will see you again next week.
Bye.